everyone, it's Keira and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. So we have just watched the Spanish Grand Prix. We know it's the Spanish Grand Prix, it's never the most exciting thing, and yet again in 2020 it proved that it was boring. But nevertheless, I have still picked up some points from the race which I thought were quite interesting. I mean, as interesting as they could be. So before we get into this video, if you do enjoy it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And also do not forget to check out VETTEL's new backseat driver video this week. I mentioned it on last week's race review that I was on it, and I'm now on it again this week. If you haven't seen last week's, go and watch it. It was in a video with some amazing names, so definitely go and check it out there. Subscription link will be in the description box. But yeah, let's just get on into the race review. Also, at the end of this video, when I give my predictions for the next race, I will also be showing some of your predictions which you gave me over on Instagram. So if you are on my Instagram, it's at KeiraMeganF1. You may definitely, actually you probably will get mentioned at the end of the video. Anyway, first I'm just going to talk about the first retirement, the one and only retirement again. We've seen like we're not having that many retirements, and that is Charles Leclerc. Okay, so we were just plodding along with this race. It's just one of those Spanish Grand Prix. It wasn't even at the point, like the first like 20 laps, it wasn't even a DRS train. It was literally like a 3-second in between each car train. Until lap 36, where Charles Leclerc decided that he wanted to spin around, and I thought, what's he doing? And then you watch the onboard, and I think he was coming up, I want to say turn 14, I think? His car, like, just shut off. Like, he was just coming around the corner, and then you just literally, you didn't even, you know, sometimes you hear, like, weird engine noises. None of that. Literally, car just cut off and he spun, obviously, as he would. So that caused a little bit of an excitement. I got probably way too excited. You might see in the vlog video. I don't know what they keep in and what they don't. But I got way too excited because it was the only thing that had ever happened in this race. Yeah, it was very exciting. And then what had happened is he took his seatbelt off there, and then, because he thought, oh, I've finished. But then he got the car started again. So I'm pretty sure he must have done a lap with his seatbelt off. Then he went boxed again, and then the engineers tried to put a seatbelt on. I don't know whether they couldn't put a seatbelt on, because I know it's quite difficult to do that when they're like properly strapped in, and then they just retired him. And it's, you might as well, because by now he's already probably been lapped by Lewis Hamilton. So that was unfortunate for Charles, but in a way I feel bad, but in a way it was kind of good, because it doesn't put less pressure on Seb, because I don't think Seb is under pressure, but it kind of made him look a bit better, you know, because then Seb was up in like P7 or whatever, and I was like, yes. So moving on to my favourite moments of the race. Difficult one to do this week. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is just Lance Stroll, because I think Lance Stroll had such an amazing race today, and he kind of went quietly under the radar. His start was unbelievable. Everyone had quite an even start, but I think it was Valtteri kind of went left, Max went left, and then there was just this massive gap, and Lance, rightly so, went straight down there and perfect up into P2 straight away. And I thought, no, that is the Lance Stroll I want to see, because I know he can pull off moves like that. I know he's that good. So I'm really, really impressed with Lance at the start of the race. And then both of the racing points just held on. Like most of the race, they just held on into this perfect position. And I think because well, as we know at the end, Lance then bumped Checo because Checo had the 5-second penalty. But I think Checo was like over a minute, and I think it was even like a minute and a half behind Valtteri in P3. So they were very far back, but that's kind of expected when them top three just fly off whatever they do. But yeah, those racing points done really well this weekend, but especially Lance, I think he done really well. There's been a lot of stick that he can't always keep up with Sergio, but he proved this weekend that he really can, and he deserves his seat there. So next, let's move on to Max Verstappen and his radio. I think the radios were probably the things that were exciting us the most, and actually I quite liked it in a way. I know that the race was very boring, but I think that the directors were actually thinking more about team radio this weekend, because they were like, well, what do we fill the time with? But it was really good, because we had more team radio than we ever do before. And Max Verstappen, I mean, I was sitting there thinking, he is on a full-on rant about how we should stop worrying about Mercedes. We need to focus on our race. We need to do this. And I was like, you are like, no one's appreciating the fact that this man is driving a Formula 1 car, I don't know how quickly, 200 miles per hour, and just having an absolute GP on the radio. Like, it was amazing. But yeah, I mean, Max was right. Focus on your own race and you'll get there. Stop worrying about the Mercedes. But obviously from Red Bull's perspective, they are the people that they're fighting. But I love recently that Max Verstappen has been sticking up for himself, because that's what he needs to do. The final thing I'm going to talk about is again a team radio, and I think you may know what it is. Sebastian Vettel and his race engineer. So Ferrari don't even have that excuse of we've got two cars in the race. Charles gone by now. He's long gone. He's doing his media. I don't know what he's doing. And Sebastian came on the radio and he said something like, what do I need to do now? Something along those lines of, what do I need to do now? Do I need to pick up the pace? Let me know what I need to do. He literally asked the question, what do I need to do? Race engineer came back and said, understood. He's asked you a question. It makes me really annoyed. And then, 3 laps later, his race engineer came on there and he was like...
What do you think about going to the end with these tyres?
For fuck's sake, I asked you this before. Now I've been pushing for 3 laps.
Understand. We are just checking.
It depends.
Yeah. And Seb was like, are you joking me? Swore a couple of times, which is absolutely fine. And was like, I literally asked you that a couple of laps ago, because, not being funny, if they would have answered Seb straight away, he may not have pushed as much, or he may have pushed more, depending on what they wanted to do with the strategy, because I think Seb was on softs and they wanted to get him to the end. Well, if he's pushing and they don't communicate to him that he needs to manage these tyres, he will need to pit again, 5 laps before the end. So I don't understand why Ferrari seem to have this issue of speaking and communicating. And it's just like, Sebastian must be sitting there wanting to bang his head against the cockpit. Why are they like this? So that really, really angered me. I just don't understand why they are being so disrespectful to him. Why they're being so stupid. These people, this is the biggest team in Formula One, and they simply cannot communicate via team radio to their driver. So anyway, those were my 3 points, and now I'm going to hop onto Instagram and I'm going to read out some of the comments I received on my post every week on my Instagram, and sometimes I do it on my Twitter as well. I will ask you, every week, every race week, I will ask you for the predictions for the weekend, and I thought I would include yours in this video to get someone else's perspective, basically. So Charles Borough, now I'm going to absolutely rinse people's names, said non-Merc win maybe, because higher tyre deg track and warm temps. Now I thought this as well. I thought maybe this would happen because obviously we know how much they fell off at Silverstone, but actually at the start of the race Max Verstappen was really complaining about his tyres, whereas Mercedes weren't. So instantly I thought, oh, maybe this isn't going to happen. But unfortunately, it was not a Merc win. We are still doing a Merc win. But at least Red Bull got that win last week. I'm very happy that they did. C_J_Lemon11 said, Max winning and double McLaren podium. Both Carlos and Lando deserve it. I agree. I would love to see McLaren up there, but unfortunately they just don't have the pace to do that. They actually have a lot less pace than what we originally thought they did in Austria, so that didn't happen. Max also didn't win, so that one was pretty much completely wrong, but it would have been nice to have seen another McLaren up on the podium, obviously since Lando's won in Austria. But yeah, not quite. The real Lucas Webber, which I think is one of those fake accounts for the thing on F1 2019. I think Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen for the top 3. Now that is very close, but obviously again, it's not going too much out of the box. The F1 Club, aka Joe, said Haas 1-2, Russell 3rd. Now obviously he's taken the mick out of this. And he spelled Russell wrong again, and he knows how much I don't like it when he spells Russell wrong. But, I mean, good try, Joe, but not quite. And Jamie Dodger, 211, said, tyres go poof, Stroll P4. And, I mean, the tyres didn't go poof, but we did have 2-stop race, so they probably could have gone poof if we wouldn't have done a 2-stopper, and Stroll was P4, so well done that person. Now, moving on to my predictions, I actually done so well, and I can't believe I've done this well. So obviously every tail review I will give you my predictions for the race after, and last week for qualifying I said Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen, and it was Lewis, Valtteri and Max. Sometimes I can't remember what I said, so after the race I went back and looked at what I'd said and I was like, oh my god, I literally got it right. And for the race I said Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas, and it was, I think last week I just thought, let's mix up, I don't want to go too out of the box but because it's Spain, but at the same time I want to have it not be a Mercedes one too. So I got the race and quali predictions correct. Fastest lap, I said Alexander Albon. I thought maybe he'd go on a different strategy and pit earlier because obviously, as we know, they build such big gaps between each other in a circuit like Spain. But it wasn't. It was Valtteri Bottas, unfortunately. Well, it was not unfortunately, but unfortunately for me. And to retire first, I said Carlos Sainz. But it wasn't. I don't know why I said that. I think I just was picking on McLaren last week. But it was actually Charles Leclerc, which I would not have ever said. So I wasn't right on that one. So my driver of the day today was Sebastian Vettel. I just think he had such an amazing race. It's so nice to see him up a little bit higher where he belongs and where Charles has been getting the car. He just deserves so much more, especially with Ferrari literally messing up his race. He's still done really well to fight through it. And I just hope for more results like this before he leaves the team at the end of the year. So now I'm going to give you my predictions for the Spa Grand Prix, which is in 2 weeks' time at the end of August. So for qualifying, I am going to say Lewis Hamilton for pole position, Lando Norris for P2 and Valtteri Bottas for P3. Now I know probably won't happen because Mercedes are just so much faster, but Lando knows Spa inside out. Lando is so good around Spa, whether he's actually there. I know obviously anti-stall happened last year, don't remind us. And also on the simulator, he's so good at Spa. So I just kind of thought that maybe, you know, he might get up there. I think he's definitely going to be high up even if he isn't P2, but I want to make these a little bit different. For the race, I have said Valtteri Bottas P1, Max Verstappen P2 and Lewis Hamilton P3. So I basically swapped around the Mercedes. Again, not sure why, just kind of felt like it. I just thought that maybe that might be something that happens. Who knows? For fastest lap, I've said Lando Norris. As I said, he's so good around Spa. I just feel like he's going to be in that position where he is going to be able to go for fastest lap. And to retire first, I said Antonio Giovinazzi. Don't know why. I think because Kimi retired last year, I'll just go with the teammate. Not entirely sure, but maybe Antonio. He's kind of, I don't think he hasn't really retired this year, has he? So something's going to have to happen to an Alfa Romeo, and I'm going to bet on it being Antonio. So there we have it. That is it for my tail end race review for the Spanish Grand Prix. I mean, there wasn't really much to say because it's the Spanish Grand Prix, but nevertheless, we have done it now. It's completed this year. We're going to Spa next week. I mean, Spa isn't always the most enjoyable race, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's very boring. So we're going to have to see what it's going to do. Hopefully we have an exciting race and, you know, we don't kind of fall into like a horrible like realm of races that aren't very good. But obviously, you know, we've got places like Monza, Mugello, Portimao coming up. So we're gonna be in for some good races. As I mentioned earlier, I am on Veloce's Backseat Driver video this week, and that will be out in the next couple of days or so. So please be sure to go and check that out because I am absolutely loving filming that. Obviously, Spanish Grand Prix, it was not as exciting as Silverstone Round 2, but nevertheless, I'm sure we made an amazing video. So do not forget to check that out. It will be in the link in my description. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you do enjoy it. I'll be back soon for a brand new video. Goodbye.